Yeah, go ahead. Try telling me this game wasn't worth picking up. Wii Play was released in 2007 in North America, bundled with what was presumably your second Wii Remote. In other regions, Wii Play was a launch title for the console in 2006, but was also bundled with that second Wii Remote. There were apparently some heated business debates between Reggie Fils-Aimé and Shigeru Miyamoto whether to include Wii Play or Wii Sports as the pack-in game for the console in North America. Look, Wii Play is a fine game, and damn fun for an hour or so, but Wii Sports was clearly the better choice for the pack-in title. From my experience, Wii Play was something that my dad saw as a great pickup for the value. Now the family had a second Wii Remote, and we got these fun little mini-games to go along with it. Something great to snag once the initial hype of Wii Sports was gone, but certainly not the most exciting title for the system. Despite the game being a bit lackluster overall, we need to look at it within the context of its release. Since it was bundled with a Wii Remote, the total package was $50. With the remotes alone costing $40, that means the game was only an additional $10. So now you sound like a fool for not wanting to buy it. Let's see here. I like having fun, but I don't like having too much fun, so I think I'll just stick with the regular old Wii Remote and not get Wii Play. For just $10, we get 9 minigames that were essentially tech demos for the console at various conferences such as E3. For what it's worth, yes, it's solid entertainment. It is funny to see this game get such low scores on review websites. What were they expecting, honestly? It's just a little bonus for buying a second Wii Remote. It's not supposed to be something big like the next Mario Kart. Also, yes, nowadays there are oodles of free-to-play games and sales on platforms like Steam that make $10 seem expensive even for something as simple as Wii Play. But if we limit the scope to, I want a new first-party game for my Wii that also comes with a Wii Remote even though I don't need one because I'm going to play the game alone anyway, then Wii Play was an absolute steal. I understand the criticism that it is not as fun as Wii Sports, but still, it's better than a 58 out of 100, I would say. Despite the game's inability to hold my attention for a particularly long time, the small bits of enjoyment that the game provides definitely makes it worth the price tag. Face it, you bought this for the Wii Remote and the game was the cherry on top, not the other way around. Even back then, a game costing $10 at launch was unheard of. If Wii Play had launched without the Wii Remote for a full $50, then yes, we would have every right to be irate. However, the value it does provide makes Wii Play the best $10 you ever spent. On your first playthrough, you have to play the games in order to unlock them. It serves as a glorified tutorial on the functionalities of the Wii Remote. That would be great for a launch game, but since this came out in North America a while after the initial release, it's a bit weird that I'm being forced to play the games in order. I know how to use the Wii Remote, and I've likely already sent one careening through my television.
Up in the air, and oh, jeez, and there goes the tennis racket.
As we go around the circle, you quickly realize that some games are much better than others. We start with what is basically an homage to Duck Hunt, which is certainly fitting to put it first. It's decent, but not one that I often revisit. There's no limitation to your ammo, so you can just spam shots constantly. Sure, you might blast yourself in the face, but you can easily make up those points. It's not great, but it's an okay start. Next we have Find Me, one of the games you'll be spending a longer amount of time with. You get a quick prompt of who you need to find, and the levels get progressively harder and add new layers to each challenge. This one is fun, and it can be super nerve-wracking when you're running out of time desperately trying to find 3 of the same Miis. I like it, but when you lose, it is very defeating since you have to start all over again. That means I'm not super likely to play it back to back immediately, but that's okay, it's still a good game. Table tennis is third on our list, and I'll take this time to mention that, of course, since this game was bundled with a Wii Remote, it feels largely intended that you play it with 2 people. Solo is okay, but if you take some time to be not so serious with a friend and just screw around on these minigames, it's probably a better experience than going at it alone. This ping pong game is a good example because it's kind of weird and not all that fun. You can't do much other than correctly point your Wii Remote in the right place and rally the ball. The initial challenge says to rally 100 times, which is f***ing impossible. So I just give up and move on. When going for a high rally, you'd think the opponent wouldn't be trying so hard to score on you, but they totally are. The multiplayer is a bit more fun since it's legitimately competitive and not just about rallying. However, the control ultimately kills it. Stage 4 is Pose Me. Again, this one is decently entertaining, but not one to revisit. It's hectic as all hell, which is a good thing. But having to swap poses on the fly so quickly is just not something I'm all that good at. I get the poses mixed up and fail at this one pretty easily. It's decent, but far from my favorite as well. What it does do very well is capture that 2006 Frutiger Arrow aesthetic, so it at least has that going for it. Next we have laser hockey. Look, I know it's basically a glorified Pong clone, but it's cool. We get an absolute banging house beat going in the background, and an overly dramatic sound effect when we score, or when our opponent scores. I like it, but the control is way too sensitive. Your paddle flies all around at even the slightest movement. 2 players, it's great, but you need to just laugh at yourself for scoring on your own goal half the time. This one is good though, and it's one I'd go to quickly upon starting a session of multiplayer. Moving on, we have billiards, one of the best ones on here. It's great. I absolutely love demolishing the cue ball. Rarely do I ever do anything other than just full power hit it. It's no fun to just tap it in, even if that's the obvious best choice. Also, I mentioned liking the song that plays during air hockey. Well, here we get the absolute best song in the game. I love that little jazzy riff. It takes me right on back to 2007. Single or multiplayer, billiards is a good time, but the controls can certainly be finicky. When it goes smoothly, it's great. A lot of the time though, you are fighting to get the cue back or to get it to shoot. Sometimes you hit the ball weak as hell even though you physically blasted your arm forward. So again, when it works, it feels awesome, but most of the time you are fighting it. We're already almost done with our circuit of minigames here, and next we have fishing. This game can be fun, but again, the controls ruin it. The rod is pretty touchy, and only sometimes flicking up to catch the fish works perfectly, whereas other times it just doesn't work at all. Overall though, the atmosphere of this game is fun, and I like the different names of all the little fishes. It's fun to try and break your high score, and the game doesn't last too long either, so decent, but again, hindered by kinda crappy controls. Alright, now it's time for a big one, the cow game, or as it's known, charge. We turn the Wii Remote sideways and steer our... Steer? Anyway, we need to knock down as many scarecrows as possible and get a high score. It's one of the most memorable games in the collection for the hilarity of watching your Mii ride a giant wool cow. However, like many of the others, the control is kinda awful. You have to do some fairly wide turns, and most of the time I can't get the Wii Remote to respond properly. For smaller turns it's okay, perhaps I'm just bad or I'm over tilting. Either way, I'm not great at it. We have made it to the end. It's time to get out that nunchuck and play some tanks. Much like how the first game is an homage to Duck Hunt, I feel like this one is an homage to Combat, the pack-in game for the Atari 2600. Tanks is a legitimately fun game, and there's no issue with bad controls here. About half of my recording file was 2 separate runs of this game. It's one of the few here where I immediately hopped back in after dying. Unfortunately, it's a little messed up in multiplayer. If you both die in one stage, that's it, which is way harder than single player where you get numerous lives. Otherwise, it's a great time, and you can see some of the absolutely heated fights I was getting into with the computer-controlled tanks. At the end of the day, Wii Play isn't much in the grand scheme of video games, but it is a whole lot for just $10. New Wii games were typically around $50. Sure, there were budget titles here and there, but would you rather play something generic like Game Party or Wii Play? Could you imagine paying full retail for something with such minimal content though? If Nintendo did something like that, I would probably lose a whole lot of faith in this whole Wii series of games. That would just be crazy, wouldn't it?